Greetings faculty and welcome to another WIS Technology tutorial. Today I'm going to be introducing you to Gclass Folders. Gclass Folders is a Google Apps script that gives you a lot of control over organizing not only your own Google Drive, but how your students interact with their Google Drive. Now the script in itself is really quite easy to install. If you go over into the script gallery, it's one of the featured scripts on the front page. When you install it, it'll list these column headers that are needed in order to perform the copy and share of the folders that this will produce. Now, before getting into how this actually works and operates, I think it's important to have a good strategy for collecting this information from your students, because you don't want to be typing it all in, and you could include typos and so on and so forth. So my advice to you is to create a Google form that can minimize the errors of this data entry. So based on these columns, we know we need a question that asks for the student's first name, a question that asks for their last name. Both of these questions should just be free kind of text boxes. However, the student email, we're not even going to ask that one, okay? We're going to just we're going to track the username of the student. That way, there's no possible way for that email address to be incorrect when the form is being filled out. The class name for this question, we'll just simply create a drop-down menu question listing all of the classes I teach, for example. So as you can see here, I've listed maybe English 10, English 9. I'm not an English teacher, but this is just an example. And then finally, I'm pretty confident I can populate this spreadsheet with my own email address error-free. So I'm not going to worry too much about that one. So let's go over to the form and create this really quickly. So the first question on the form, I'll give it a title. So I'm going to call it student info. And my first question is just going to be first name. And they don't have a choice in this. Make that a required question. Second question is going to be the last name. And again, this is just a text question, and it's going to be required. Now, going back to the spreadsheet, email. Notice this. I'm going to skip this question because I already have it by tracking the username. So I can go up here and make sure they're signing in, and I'm automatically going to collect their username. So that's taken care of. Class name. All right, so this is where I need to create my drop-down menu. So I can add another item to my form. Which class are you in? Okay, and then this is going to be, we're going to choose from a list, and we're going to say English 10 and English 9. So here you would list all the classes you teach, because really you're only going to have one spreadsheet, and you're going to run the script on that one spreadsheet to generate all of your class folders as well as your students' class folders, and make that a required question. The period one, in our environment, this wouldn't work, so we will skip that. And then, of course, you could probably even skip the email field as well, because you can simply just copy this all the way down once you've got all of your students listed in here. So that's just a strategy for collecting accurate data, minimizing typos, and preparing the spreadsheet to be run. Because once you've got this completely populated, let me just clean this up. You would then create the new folders and shares. And I'll have more on that in the next segment of this tutorial.
So to recap, I have here a spreadsheet where I've added information that I've collected via a Google form prior to actually running the new folders and shares. So let me just, before we actually do this, let me show you how that form will work to collect data from the students. I could collect it in another sheet in the same spreadsheet, but I'm just going to keep those worlds separate. I'm going to just copy and paste the information I've collected. So I have here in another window, I've logged in as a Richard Johnson. And notice these are my questions, which I needed to get the information from for my students. So here he would write in his first name and last name. Okay, and then he would have to choose which class he's in. And this is really it. So I'm not asking for the email address because, again, it's going to be collected automatically. And once I submit this form, I can say bye to Richard Johnson. So let's go ahead and look at the information I've collected. So perfect. So here I have the email address of that student. I can just copy that. And then I can go ahead and I can see here that the student's in English 10. Copy that. Again, this isn't the most efficient way to do it, but I just want to show you how to get the information over. And of course, this is just Richard Johnson. So I'll just copy both of those and paste them over into here. Good. And of course, my email address as the instructor, I'll just pull it right down. So here I have all of the necessary information for my classes. So in this example, there's only 3 students in English 10 and 2 in English 9. So now I'm ready to go ahead and run the folder share. So here we go. It's always indicating that the script is running here. And always notice that when you run scripts, oftentimes you get new headers that appear at the top of each column here. And when you run this the very first time, it's going to take some time, especially if you have lots of students. But again, you don't have to do this when the students are there. This can be created on its own. So here's the confirmation of what's been done. Class folders were created for English 10, 9, and 5 new assignment folders were created. So let's just take a look here at the rest of this spreadsheet, kind of summarize what's going on here. So the teacher share, this is indicating that I am the teacher of English 10 and English 9, and these are all sort of the IDs of the folders that were created that will make up this Gclass folder system. So I can now even look in my Google Drive to look for those classes. So right here I have an English 9 and an English 10 folder that was created automatically from the script. If I go inside English 9, I'm going to see an assignment folder. And inside the assignment folder is a unique connection to each student in my class. Okay, so anything that goes in this folder will only be visible and editable by me and, or not editable, but by the student, but it's a direct connection between the student and the teacher, okay? This is just a private teacher-only folder. That's for me. This one is a sort of a viewed only folder, so like handouts and things that I'd like to prepare, I could put them in that folder, and the students could make copies of those things for themselves. And then, of course, if we're having collaborative work, I can throw things in this folder, and they all have editing rights to things that are edited here. So this sort of streamlines that whole process of making those connections that you want to establish a very efficient work environment with Google Drive. Now, as a student, it's not quite as simple. Well, it is, and it isn't. You have to do one thing, and that is move the folder that you receive as a student. You need to drag it over into My Drive, because it's only going to be visible in Shared with Me. That's as far as the script can actually push that folder out to. It can't actually put it into the drive of another user. So let's go back in and look at Richard Johnson's account again. Let me just open up a new incognito window. Let's see, drive.google.com. So here we are. We're now looking at Richard Johnson's Google Drive. Now he now has in this Shared with Me folder, right, the 3 folders that were created by that script. Notice in Drive there's nothing. So for this person, for this student, to best manage this, he simply needs to click on all 3 of these folders, all right, and then move them to his or her Google Drive. Now once they are here, he's kind of in complete control of where they are, and they won't disrupt they won't disrupt where the teacher is putting things either. So this will allow both the student and teacher to have very much good control over these folders and where they're located. So, and again, this is the folder that it's the class folder where all the documents in here can be edited by Richard Johnson as well as anyone else in English 10. This one is viewable to everyone in the entire class. So these are documents that the teacher does not want to be modified, yet could be copied and then modified. So, and then of course, this is the sort of Dropbox, if you will. This is where Richard Johnson would submit sort of work to the teacher. This is not viewable by anyone else in the class except for Richard Johnson and his teacher. So this is the structure that Gclass Folder provides, and as you can see, it happens relatively fast, considering all of the folders that are being shared and created, and for all of your classes. So if you literally taught, 4 or 5 classes, you could create all of your class folders with one click. And if you get new students throughout the year, you can even then add more students and rerun the script, and it'll just carry on where it left off and create the necessary folders for the new students. And you can also remove students as well once they've left your class, if it's a semester-long class, so on and so forth. But one of the really cool features of all this is you can then launch some scripts from the Gclass Hub. And I've talked about Doctopus before, and what Doctopus does is let you push out template assignments to specific folders in your students' Google Drives. So this is also a great way to send feedback and be in control of what the files are named and so on and so forth. So, but that's a whole nother tutorial. But this is just getting the folder structure and organization established, and I think you'll find this very useful, and your students will like knowing where to go to get things. And here's the Gclass Hub. So if I'm already a solid user of Doctopus, the advantage of doing it this way is that I can, let me just authorize this first. So once I've authorized the Gclass hub, there are 3 scripts here that come along with the Gclass folders that I can use. And if I want to launch a Doctopus to push out documents to my students, I can do it right from the Gclass hub. And I can just choose the class I want to push documents out to. So say I want a document to go to English 10. I can go ahead and then launch it. Create the new Doctopus. Again, this is going into my English 10 teacher folder, which is only for me only. And now I'm going to actually go to the spreadsheet that was created. And you're going to notice that it has links to my students' folders, as well as the students' emails. And I'm not using this flag or period column. And of course, now I can go through the usual steps. I can then launch the installation, authorize, accept, and then from here, I should be able to choose the document that I'd like to push out. So, and from this point on, it's quite normal. So individual all the same, so on and so forth. So I can get into Doctopus on another tutorial as well, but this is basically, the idea is to set up the folder structure and then give you access to the Gclass hub, which allows you to push out documents into specific student folders. So I know this was a lot to cover, and I'm hoping at least I just sort of give you enough of an orientation of what's possible, and then you can then come and see me or set up an appointment to really hone in on specific questions you may have on using this great Google Drive extension. So anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Gclass folder sort of related tutorials. So thanks for watching.